Soccer games, martial arts, all those schedules, homework, homeschooling, family dinners. The house is finally quiet after years of juggling the kids' schedule.
Finally quiet.
But instead of feeling free, many couples find themselves feeling lost. How can the empty nest change a marriage? And how do couples navigate this new chapter in their lives? Stay with us as we talk about that very topic.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Marriage Hacks with Joseph
And Miriam.
with real talk
Real solutions.
for a healthy, thriving marriage. All right, so in this episode, we normally have a lot of scriptures. This time we have one scripture, believe it or not, one scripture, and this is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1.
From the Amplified.
Yeah, from the Amplified version. Let me pull it up and we'll read it together. All right, forget about what's happening. Don't keep going over old history. Be alert. Be present. I'm about to do something brand new. It's bursting out. Don't you see it? There it is. I'm making a road through the desert, rivers in the Badlands. Now, when I read this scripture, one thing that stuck out to me, and we're probably going to go back over it again and again, is that statement, be present. That really stuck out to me. And you'll understand why. I will explain why as we get more into this episode. Now, this was Miriam's suggestion, and I'm going to go ahead on and I'm going to do it and show her that I do listen to whenever she says something. So we're going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to play a couple of audio clips. The first one is going to be from, I think it's called Second Act.
The Second Act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Second Act. It's a podcast that I found. These two women, they speak about different subjects, and they're talking about the subject that we're talking about today. Okay, and so let me play the first one. Let me pull it up. Here we go.
Parents are so busy in their daily lives, bringing up the kids, dealing with issues, putting fires out constantly. It drains everything in them. And meanwhile, even though they're connected to their kids, they lose the connection a lot of times with their significant other. And that's why, people like me who are in the field, tell parents, you gotta have date night. You have to keep communicating. All those great, wonderful things that in reality, yes, are very important, but sometimes slip by the wayside because life gets in the way with your kids.
All right, so before I go to the next one, now this one thing that Miriam and I we started to do a few years back. We used to have a date night, and we used to always continue to have that date night, and we stuck to it for a while. But then, because of the busyness of life and everything, we kind of got away from it. And that's one thing that we both have talked about, the fact that we are going to get back to those date nights. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to date nights. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go to this second clip.
So, fast forward 50 plus older, and the kids have left the nest. And a parent or parents are going, who am I? What's my identity now without bringing up kids? And then they look to their spouse and go, who the hell are you? Why did I marry you? Like the whole thing of, oh my gosh, where am I now? And that's a very scary, frightening place for a lot of people out there to realize that.
One thing that she said, it sounded kind of funny when she said,
Who the hell are you?
Who are you? And the sad thing about it is that happens to a lot of couples. After they, 50 plus years, and the kids are all grown and out of the house. Now, our house is not completely empty yet, but most of our kids are out of the home. Okay. And Miriam may want to speak on this because she made a statement. She felt it this past Christmas.
Yeah, I did.
She really felt it, and she meant it on it. So Miriam, talk to the marriage hackers about how you felt this past Christmas.
Well, it wasn't so much as an empty nest this past Christmas, but for years and years and years and years, people have always come here for Christmas Eve, whether we were hosting a party or it was just us getting together. But last year, 2024, we had our Christmas get together at my daughter Hannah's new home with her husband David. And that really threw me for a loop because they are out on their own doing things. That means new traditions are being established. And it just threw me for a loop that we weren't going to be here in the house on Christmas Eve. But we did wind up doing Christmas Day here, which was very nice. But not having everybody here Christmas Eve really threw me off. But by the same token, I chose to embrace it because life does change. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it made me sad or threw me off kilter. No, it was just different.
Yes, it was. Okay, so
it was good, but it was different, and it gave our daughter Hannah a chance to open up her new home. Mm-hmm. to say, let's start a new tradition kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go to this next clip. Second Act TV.
Yeah. So when you have a couple that are both going through the empty nest syndrome, each person has to figure out who they are again, or what they've lost in who they are, what they've gained in who they are as an individual by being a parent. And then when the kids aren't gone is, who am I now? So just like we've talked many times in shows of reinventing yourself after 50, your career, your relationships, they go through the same thing as, who are they? So many times as people, we create our identity by what we do, who we're connected with, what our career is, when really we've always been who we are no matter what we've done in our life, but that gets lost.
Mm-hmm. When I heard this section of the clip, I thought about Miriam and a comment that she made, and just the look on her face. I remember when all of the kids was pretty much, they had finished school and everything, and Miriam had spent all her life most of her life as a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling kids and stuff, and so when all of that was over, she looked at me and she said, "Joe, what am I gonna do? Who is gonna hire me? I've been here all this time. Mm-hmm. I don't have any." She felt like she didn't have anything to offer, and just like the woman said, you have to rediscover yourself. You have to.
That's true.
You have to find yourself, especially if your whole world was wrapped up into your children, mm-hmm. and they're gonna make the point later on that it's mostly the women. Not saying that the men don't invest too, but mostly the women who those children becomes their whole world. Okay, and then when that part of them is gone, and also you throw into the dynamics that the fact that maybe the husband and wife, they haven't been cultivating their relationship because of the busyness of life. Yeah, business of life, and well, the word that they used in one of the audio clips was the distraction as far as the children, But that's just a natural distraction because those children need to be cared for. Okay, so I think we're on the audio clip number 4. So
okay, and then we're gonna go to our.
Yeah, then
Okay.
and then we'll go. Then we're gonna go over. Miriam's gonna start some of the points that we're gonna go over, and then we'll go over to some more clips, and then I'll go over the other part of it. Okay, so let's go.
On yourself both individually, and you have to work together as a couple. Because I hear this all the time. Why did I marry that person? Why did I do this? What am I gaining from it? So before you flip the switch and run for the hills, get divorced, or get out of a relationship, you have to stop and slow down for a second. There's a lot of different emotions that are going on with the empty nose syndrome alone, just with that.
Right. Well, and one of the reasons that we wanted to bring it up at this time is because it's that time of year again. Right now is spring. It's graduation time, it's prom time. Kids are getting ready for college. And, I personally didn't have kids. I haven't gone through it. A lot of my friends have. And it is...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did it cut? I don't know why it cut off like that.
Cut off. Okay.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. As we've established, the empty nest is when the children leave home, and it can significantly impact the marriage. And depending on the couple's relationship and how they prepare for this inevitable change, an empty nest can be a positive thing, or it can be extremely challenging. Okay, now we're going to talk about 5 potential challenges. Loss of shared focus. Number 2, increased conflict. Number 3, loneliness and depression. Number 4, different coping styles. And number 5, changes in intimacy. Okay. Loss of shared focus. Parenting often becomes a couple's central focus. When the children leave, some couples struggle to find common ground. I don't think that was necessarily an issue for Joe and me, because as he said, we had our date nights, we did things together. Now, for me as a homeschooler, the kids were with me 24/7, which had its advantages and it had its disadvantages. But I remember one particular time I had 4 kids, 4 different levels. This particular day I had them engaged. I had them laser focused. Joe came home for lunch and yelled down the stairs, because our schoolroom was downstairs at the time, and yelled, "Lunchtime! I'm the principal, so I say it's time for lunch." And it was shattered. I went from having them laser focused to, "Daddy's home. He said it's time to stop." I could have slit his throat at that time. But everything we did was focused around homeschool. To not so much for Joe, but as for me, it was focused. Everything was homeschooling. I turned grocery shopping into a teaching moment. Everything. Joe will tell you everything. I'm like, this is a teaching moment. That was one of the things that was great about homeschooling. But I didn't lose all my kids at one time. Joshua, our oldest, went away first. Then Hannah went away, and then Rachel went away, and then Stephen went away. And by the time Stephen went away, it was like, okay, they're growing up. And one thing that the kids can tell you, and that Joe can tell you, I've never been one of these parents that said, I have to be involved in every single aspect of our grown kids' lives. No, when they started growing up and doing things on their own, I took my hands off. And in several ways, I took my hands off in ways that a lot of people didn't like. And my issue was, these are my kids. If I want to take my hands off and let them do ABCD, I'm going to let them do ABCD. Because one thing about homeschool kids, in a lot of ways, they're very sheltered. But I made a point to let them get out. Even to the point now where our son-in-law, David, who's married to Hannah, he asked, why don't we come around? And my reaction was, one, y'all are grown. Two, you're newlyweds. I don't want to interrupt anything. And three, I never want us to be the type of parents that interfere in our children's lives, are always there poking our nose into their business. Stephen and his wife live all the way in East Bend, which is about 40 minutes from here. And they love it that I'm not totally all up in their business. Because 40 minutes away, I'm going to call before I find out, before I'm coming, because I don't know if you're going to be home. Mm-hmm. But even when our daughters moved out, I could count on, in the 2.5 years they were gone, I can count on 3 fingers how many times that I showed up at their house. Okay, but I do agree with Joe. It's like, I've done this for so long. What do I do now? I was an auditor for Transamerica BC, is what I called Before Children. But then after getting married, homeschooling for 23 years, everything, I did wonder what there was I could do, because I had a 23-year resume, gap on my resume. Who was going to hire me besides Walmart or what do you call it, McDonald's or somewhere? Okay, so
well, let me say,
go ahead.
That's when she started doing online certification for a personal trainer.
Because I had been doing personal training before, because I was a certified martial arts instructor. And I started doing personal training at Agape in groups, started doing groups. So I can look back now and see that was God's way of preparing me for becoming a personal trainer.
Yeah, also becoming my warrior princess.
Anyway, point 2, increased conflict. Without the distraction of children, unresolved issues may surface. I can see that happening. I don't remember that with us, but I could see that because you put so many things, and you can correct me on that, I just don't remember. But you put so many things on the back burner. I remember there were several years where honestly we were just surviving. Starting a new business, homeschooling kids, doing that, this and that. Joe would come home, I'd look at him, give him a smile, hey baby, and then I'd have to go on to the next thing. And then by the time the kids went to bed, it was like I was too tired. Just to be honest with you. But I can see where unresolved issues, because I've talked to people where their children have grown up and they have nothing in common anymore. Okay?
Well, one thing that I took advantage of to get more of is more of Miriam's nurturing time.
Insects.
Well, what I was talking about, I wasn't necessarily talking about sex. I was talking about nurturing, times where she could just spend concentrated time
on him,
on me, like it was when we first, before kids, like you said, BC, before kids. Mm-hmm. Before kids, I was her main focus, mm-hmm. and us, we were each other's main focus. But when those children started coming, all of that changed,
Yeah.
Miriam said, okay, Joe, maybe at such and such a time on the weekend we can have a little bit of time. And she had to pencil me in.
Yeah.
And see, I wasn't used to being penciled in. I was like, no,
he got jealous, y'all.
You got to pencil me in. She was penciling me in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I love my children, but at the same time, I was like, I be letting your little tail grow up.
Okay. Loneliness, number 3, loneliness or depression. One or both partners may experience sadness or a sense of loss. I guess because my focus personally was preparing them to be good people. Years ago, I used to say, as soon as they started growing up, I'm not going to have you much longer. So I think that was my way of preparing. So, no, I can't say for me that there was loneliness or depression, because when they did go off to school in high school, I enjoyed it. Rachel cheerleading, Hannah with her drama, Josh with band, Steven with football and baseball. For me,
Joshua with that big bass drum was funny.
It was hilarious.
That bass drum was bigger than him. He'd be carrying that big bass drum on the field, and all you could see is the bass drum. You couldn't even see him. All you could see his hands every now and then. And that was funny, him walking out on that field with that big old drum.
But I enjoyed being the mom on the field, the mom that worked the concession stand, all those things. So I can honestly say I have enjoyed every part of their lives. And number 4, the different coping skills. One partner may embrace the freedom while the other struggles, causing tension. I personally think for Joe and me, we've embraced some of the freedom. Taking off when we can, going on vacations, taking weekends, doing things together. I really want to get back to our Joe's Day Off walks. We haven't done that in a long, long time. But
guess what, y'all? As much as I love running, I can't stand walking. But I do it for her, because I know that that's important for her, and that's our time.
And like I said, the only thing I'm running for is a sale. And it better be between stores. That's it. But I have talked to some people who have struggled, and the tension was caused because, like the lady said, you forgot who each other are. Like the woman said, who the hell are you? But Joe and I, we tried our best to stay in communication with each other. I'm not saying that we were perfect by any means, but as I said, my attitude was, you're not going to be with me long. I want to take advantage. Changes in intimacy. Some couples experience a decline in emotional and physical intimacy.
You know what? I don't think that really affected us that much, because we've always tried to have, what's the word? Regularity. That's the right word? Regularity. As far as our sexual relationship. Why you just sitting there? You're not even saying anything.
Like regularity.
Regularity, like a schedule, you know, we were always careful to,
make time for it.
Make time for that, because
like I have a friend right now. I know not to call her on Sunday night or Thursday night. I text her, because those are her nights. Yeah, Joe and I, even after the kids have been gone, we kind of stuck to a schedule for that, to make time. That this day you make time for that. Mm-hmm. I guess that's what you were talking about, regularity.
Yes.
That made it sound like bowel movements.
No, what's she talking about?
I'm regular, y'all.
No.
Okay, Joe, let's go over some of the potential benefits.
Okay. Well, before we do that, let's go over some of the other clips. Okay, now this is Tracy Henson. Okay, and I want us to listen to some of the things she has to say.
Guess what, moms and dads, couples? The kids will leave the home someday, and for many, that's a joyous occasion because life can really get exciting. But for other people, that is not the case. This can be a very difficult time when the kids fly the coop. Many of you have heard of empty nester syndrome, which really is a syndrome that especially many moms experience after their last child leaves home.
All right, Miriam, you talked about that. Did you feel it more with Stephen since he's the youngest?
For me, when Stephen went to school is when I walked into the schoolroom.
Mm-hmm.
And all the homeschooling stuff was still there. And when I started getting rid of, reselling to Gullions Christian Supply or giving away to other homeschoolers, that's when it really hit me that, we weren't empty nesters yet, but my last baby had gone off to school. And I sat there looking at all the homeschool things that we had made, because I'm the type of person that if there was something I needed or it was like a chart, I would sit and make charts myself, and all the crafts and everything that the kids and I did together. That last, Stephen being the last one that went away, that was hard, putting those things away. But once, and I admit it took me a good 2 or 3 months to do that because it was so emotional. Looking at all the years of my life and pulling out everything with each individual kid and all their stuff, all their accomplishments and things for homeschooling, that was hard. But Stephen wasn't the last one to leave home. Stephen went into the military. And then Hannah and Rachel came back home. So for me, it's kind of a hodgepodge of things. And then Joshua, our oldest, he moved to Seattle, Washington. And then when he came back in late 2015, he met his wife and then later got married. And in 2016, they moved in with us and were with us for 7 years. So when Joe talked about the empty nest, I was like, well, we're not technically empty nesters, but I understand what he was referring to.
Yes, it's different when you have multiple children. Mm-hmm. Because if you have one or two, when that one kid leaves, and then it's like, okay, that's an empty nest. But when you have like 4 children like we have, even, you feel it with each kid leaving.
Yeah.
Even though your house may not be totally empty, you feel it with each one of them as they transition from being here constantly to now being away, having their own place and living their own lives. Okay, let's go to the next.
And the key is letting them live their own lives. Mm-hmm. Let them live their lives. Do not live your life through them, because that's what causes the problems where the mother especially is constantly showing up, being a constant person at their house, at that child's house, because you're not allowing them to live their lives. That's a pet peeve for me, and Joe knows why. You got to let your children live their lives.
All right, so let's go to this next one.
While I would be happy to do a video discussing empty nester syndrome and ways that you can avoid that and how you can overcome it once you're there, today's video is really for you parents, especially moms who are in the threshold of raising children, because you may not be looking ahead as to when the kids are going to leave the home. You could be looking forward to that. But then what happens is when they finally do, you lose your identity, you lose your purpose, and you can become very unhappy because life takes a turn, and it's not always a positive turn.
Yeah, this is something that people just starting their families would be wise to listen to, so they won't start out with a very unbalanced family life. Of course, you're gonna if you're a new mom, you're gonna be spending a whole lot of time with that baby, because you learning how to be a mom, how to take care of a baby. And so a lot of your attention is going to be on that baby, but you have to be careful in the early stages not to fall into that trap of starting to lose your own identity and also separate yourself from your spouse. Okay, so let's go to, was that number 3 or 2?
That was 2.
2. Okay, this is number 3.
Let's back up to when the children come into the picture. So it's no longer about the couple. And I'll share that all of this comes quite by accident, because before the children come along, it is all about the couple. It's all about husband and wife. We bring the kids into the picture, and it's not uncommon for mom especially to make the kids her world. That is her world, and it's okay to feel that way. But be careful to actually make it your world, because if the kids are your world, you're already taking yourself out of the equation. You're making your purpose about the children. Also, what happens is the marriage or the relationship gets compromised in the process. And typically, moms just are not thinking about the end result when the children leave the home and who's left. I want to come right out and say this right from the get-go. The kids will leave. The husband, he's still going to be there. So making your children your world could be really a slippery slope and something that you just want to be aware of.
Yeah, that way you can spare yourself from, like the first video clip said, who the heck are you? You don't know who this person is. And it reminded me, I thought about one of Miriam's favorite shows, Grimm.
I love Grimm.
When what's her name? She forgot all about, the one character she forgot all about. What's the main character's name?
Nick.
Yeah, she forgot all about Nick. She didn't know who Nick was. Remember? In that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that just made me think about when the woman said, "Who the heck are you?" Because she was like, because when in that episode, she was in the hospital and Nick right?
Yeah, Nick came to see her.
Nick came to see her, and then she was talking. And she said, "Well, who are you? Well, who are you?" And the look on his face. And I'm imagining husbands having that look on their face when the children are gone and everything, and then they finally having this alone time with their wife, and then and then the wife, she may not come out and say, "Who the heck are you?" But that's basically how she is treating him, like, I don't even know who you are now, and But anyway, I just want to make that comment.
Okay.
I mean, when I heard that statement, I thought about that. Okay, so this is I'm sorry, you hit the wrong one. And this is the last of her clip.
You have to be careful that you're not letting go of yourself and your goals and keeping up with the maintenance of who you are, what you enjoy, what brings you fulfillment and pleasure, and also what brings fulfillment and pleasure to the marriage. You need to cultivate that because, again, at the end of the day, the kids are going to be gone. This will also happen with elderly parents. I work with clients who are in this situation where they didn't cultivate the relationship. They also didn't cultivate themselves. They made the children their world. Now you bring in elderly parents because many people are having children later on. So while years ago, people weren't really taking care of their elderly parents until their kids flew the coop. Now, many people are in the threshold of raising children and also taking care of elderly parents.
Well, thank God that was not us. I don't know, be honest with you, I don't know if I could deal with those two dynamics all at one time. That would just be a little bit too much.
What, the kids leaving and taking care of elderly parents at the same time?
No, she was talking about people having children later in life.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, and having to deal with children and
elderly parents.
Elderly parents
and
at the same
compared
time.
to the time that a lot of people have kids, Joshua wasn't born until I was 2 months shy of 30. And Stephen was born when I was 36, 37 years old. So by the time Stephen came along, a lot of my peers were already grandparents. So, okay, so she was talking about ways to cultivate things to be better. So let's talk about the positive benefits of the empty nest.
So the positive benefits. First, let me name the 5. It's first one is renewed connections. Number 2 is more freedom. Number 3, improved communication. Number 4, rediscovering romance. And number 5, less stress. So number 1, renewed connection. Couples have more time to rediscover shared interests.
So meaning if before the children came along, if you like going skiing, if you like doing things, rekindle what you were when you met. So you didn't have time because the kids were there. You couldn't go to the mountains. Like the one thing that Joe and I did a lot of when we first got married, we used to go up to Boone at least once a month for several months. We go up to Boone and Maggie Valley and all those places. If you know anything about the mountains of North Carolina, that was something that we used to do all the time, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. It was literally, we'd get off of work at 6 o'clock on Saturday, come home, pack a bag, and we'd leave. And we'd come back late the next night. We very much enjoy that, and that is something that we have been able to do since the kids have been grown. Like last year, I told you about for my birthday, last February, we took off for one night. It was just one night like we used to do back in the day. And it was really great. So rediscover those things that you used to do together.
One thing I think I would like for us to do whenever we have more time. Now, one thing is that even though our children, most of them have left the nest.
Well, we have one still.
Yeah, we both are very, very busy with life, but I would like to maybe, because one time we had a shared interest. We used to go bowling, not a lot, but every now and then we would go bowling. And Miriam used to say she always enjoyed going bowling. Maybe that may be something that we will start doing again, and maybe we can get maybe other couples to do it. Maybe we have a bowling night or something.
Yeah, back before COVID happened, we had a marriage group at Agape at Central Triad, and it wasn't just Central Triad people. There were people from Agape, there were people from Triad Baptist Church, and it was just fun. Married couples, we would get together, we would go. Sometimes we go to each other's homes, we switch off. One time we went bowling, and another time, the last time we met, which was January of 2020, oh my God, that was 5 years ago. It was just before COVID hit. We knew someone from Agape that gave dance lessons, Teresa and Joseph Neal. And we got together and we had a dance lesson. And we had planned to meet again 2 months after, but then COVID hit and that all blew up. But reconnect with your friends who are in the same stage of life. So the renewing the connections doesn't necessarily always have to be between the two of you. Like my friend who I know not to call her on Sunday or Thursday night. Let's get together on a Saturday night. Let's have fun like we used to do back in the day.
And so the next one is more freedom. There's more flexibility to travel, hobbies, and spontaneity. Yep. Because
Joe and I, right now, I'm looking into our next vacation. And you know me, I want to go on a cruise. I just love it. And so I was checking into prices and things for next year. We don't have to worry about kids. The main thing is getting the time for him to get time off work and for me to arrange with my clients. And then, of course, to save the money. But the freedom to do that, to travel, to do hobbies, and the spontaneity, just to be able to just get up and do without having to worry about a sitter, someone to watch the kids. That can be fun.
Okay, the next one is improved communication. With fewer distractions, many couples strengthen their bond. I remember when our home was full of children, and trying to have a conversation with Miriam, man, that was a hard thing, because as soon as I started talking, all of them want to tell Mama something. Wait a minute, Mama, wait, let me tell Mama this, and Miriam always say, wait a minute, your daddy's trying to talk. Let me talk to your daddy first, and then we can talk. But it's like seems like whenever I would try to talk to her, all of them had to say something all at the same time. But now, we have our
all I can do is listen, y'all.
We have our quiet times, and then I call on her on my breaks, and she get tired of me calling. Okay,
just like, baby, you done called me 6 times today, and he wants to know everything that I did. So I have gotten to the point where I go, I went to get milk. I went to the bathroom. I washed clothes. I talked to Annette on the phone. Because I'm like, baby, how many times can I say this? Come on.
But the main thing is, I have that time that I didn't have before.
Yeah, that's true.
I try to take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? Even though now I'm in competition with whoever else is on the other line when I call in. They're like, wait a minute. Well, I'm talking to
so-and-so. But Joe, you have to admit,
I call you back.
9 times out of 10, it has to be important, like a ministry call.
Yeah, she would text me like, text me, Joe, I'm on the phone with such and such. Joe, I'm doing Central Track. Yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I'm like, okay.
Because when you're in the middle of a ministry call, I just can't say, hold on, I got to check on my husband. No, I'll text you back, baby.
Well, man, you keep talking. I'm going to try to get this light on. This light turned off. Go ahead.
All right. Rediscovering romance. Some couples find a new spark in their relationship. For me, that goes right back to discovering spontaneity, doing things differently, things that you weren't able to do before. I remember when we went on our 35th anniversary cruise last September, Joe, even though I had told him that we had a balcony, he was like, "You didn't tell me we had a balcony." I was like, "Yes, baby, I did tell you we had a balcony." And all he kept talking about was, "Ooh, can we do it on the balcony?" And I'm sitting there going, "Negro, come on.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you were like, "That balcony, Miriam, that balcony." And I was like, "Baby, yes, it's a balcony. Just chill." But, putting a new spark in your relationship.
Okay, so we're on the last one now?
Yep, less stress.
Less stress. Okay, let me see if I can see
Right
it.
here, right there.
No, I got to move it up though. Okay, less stress.
Yeah,
Okay.
right there.
Financial and parenting stress may decrease, improving overall relationship satisfaction. Well, I can say that our grocery bill has gone down, even though prices are up.
Well, it's gone down as the amount that we buy,
Yeah.
but it's more expensive.
Yes, but I
Yeah.
remember when our kids were all small, and now I was running my business full time. Well, we were running our business full time, and we used to go to Sam's, and our grocery carts used to be so full.
So full.
The people were like, "Hey,
Do you have a daycare?
we have a daycare? What's going on?"
I homeschool 4 kids.
We homeschool 4 kids, and they home all the time.
Yeah, and they eat.
And so so that's why, everything happens, at the right time, because if we were living now,
In this economy?
God, okay, of course, God is our source, so God would make a way, but in the natural, our children being as small as they was, and Miriam homeschooling and this and that, boy,
It would have been harder.
it would have been a lot harder.
But the wonderful thing about the less stress is, even in all this, even in the empty nest, you're always going to be a parent. Period. Our daughter Hannah is pregnant for the first time, and she and I talk sometimes a couple of times a day, because her body is going through all these changes. So even though we have an empty nest in so many ways, I'm still that ever present parent, which I absolutely adore. My daughter Rachel calls me most every morning and, Mama, guess what happened? And our son Stephen will call me on his way home from work, and like I say, he works about 5 minutes from us, so he has like a 45-minute drive home, and he'll just talk about how things are going, and they still ask for advice, but the main thing is knowing they're not children anymore. You can give advice or say, well, and the way I do it is I go, well, do you want some suggestions? They ask for suggestions, but I don't just say, this is what you should do, because they're their own people now. Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's talk about, because we're running kind of long, let's talk about ways to strengthen your marriage during this time of transition. And it's really about going over all the stuff that we've talked about. 1, prioritize each other. 2, find new hobbies. 3, reignite romance. 4, set new goals. 5, communicate openly. And that's just summarizing everything that we said. Prioritize each other. Now, even though I always made Joe's plate when the kids were growing up, Now, like he was out doing some work, and I said, well, how long is it going to be before you come home? And I timed it. So when he walked into the door, his food was just coming off the stove. Do those little things for each other, because now you have the time to do those things. One thing that Joe and I know about each other, I am an acts of service person. That is my primary love language. If you love me, you help me.
What's mine?
Words of affirmation. Constantly. Words of affirmation. Prioritize. So I'll speak his love language. She speaks my love language. That's very important because the kids are gone. You're not having to juggle. So now you can do that. Now I can make sure I have this ready for him and that ready for him. Find new hobbies, new things to do together. Find things to do together. Like I said, I'm the cruise person, and I'm enjoying very much just thinking about and planning our next cruise. Joe likes to run. Joe likes to do his working out. Like I've told you, we don't interfere with each other's working out. We don't interfere with those things. Reignite the romance. Don't always follow the same schedule. Do something a little different. Set new goals. Find new things to do with each other. Things that you know that, I always wanted to do this, so let's go try it. Like one thing I love to do is skydiving. I can't see him doing that, but maybe one day I can talk him into skydiving. Because I got him on our first cruise back in 2018 because he was terrified of the water. But our very last day on the cruise, and I have a video that I took of him sitting at the very front of the ship, just so totally peaceful. So baby, if you can do that, maybe you can go skydiving. Okay, never mind. Okay, and finally, that communicating openly. So for those of you who are watching us that have young children.
First you tell them how you want to go to Tibet and hang off a cliff.
Oh, God.
I was like, oh my goodness, no. I would not be doing that with you.
In the second Mission Impossible movie, they go find Tom Cruise and he's hanging from a cliff with his arms, with just his upper body strength. And I remember back in 2001 when I started Taekwondo, Mr. Deese looked at me and said, so what do you want to achieve? I said, I want upper body strength. And he said, okay, for what? I said, because just like Tom Cruise did in Mission Impossible 2, I want to hang from a cliff in Tibet with just my upper body strength. Yeah, that hadn't happened yet.
And what did Mr. D say?
He went, okay. So, and another thing is, I tell people I want to go to Tibet and I want to witness to the Dalai Lama so that he can become a Christian, so that all those people that follow him can become Christians. Yeah, I have lofty goals. I know it. Okay. And communicating openly. That is still one of the things that Joe and I are working on because of his sensitivity. That's one of the things that we're still working on. But I can honestly say he's getting better. He's getting better. Do you agree that you're getting better, or am I giving you too much credit?
I'm getting better and you are getting less abrasive.
like with this, I was like, baby, you put a whole lot of video clips and audio clips at the very end, and that just makes it go. I wasn't expecting him to make the change today, but I had to figure out a nice way to say it because he gets so, Miriam, start speaking Cantonese or something. But yeah, communicate openly. Talk about your feelings. Share your expectations. Talk about the things that you want to do and that he wants to do, and the things that you two want to do together. So start doing these things now if you have children. I was thinking about Robert and Marlo Newman. They have 2 young girls. Robert, Marlo, start working on this now if you haven't already. And so many other people that I think of at church that have young children. I can't think of their names. It's another young couple at church that have 2 young girls. Start it now. Start doing it now, so that by the time the kids grow up and they're out, you don't have to rediscover who each other is. You know who each other is because you've been working on it ever since. And like Joe and I always say, we're not perfect. Yeah, we had to rediscover some things, but it wasn't an uphill battle for us.
Well, one thing, since I'm so, I guess the best word, since I'm so needy, I wasn't gonna let Miriam
Said it, y'all. I did.
forget about me, even with all of her responsibilities with the children. Even though she would try to pencil me in, sometimes I'll take a highlighter.
Yeah, and put himself in.
I put myself in. I would highlight myself over somebody. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm inserting myself.
He would
into this.
He would. One of my favorites. Don't go off. One of my favorites was after each child was born.
What I do after each child?
Oh, you're supposed to wait 6 weeks. Joe would get the calendar.
I think
and do 6 weeks to the day.
I think all men would do that.
Yeah, but what would you do on that date? On that date, he would write Nunu time. But I was determined I was not going to be one of those women that went back for my 6-week checkup pregnant. I was like, no, baby. Okay, Joe, go ahead.
All right, so
Right there.
the empty nest phase is a major life transition, but with intentional effort, it can be a rewarding period of growth and reconnection for a couple. How are you feeling about this stage in your life? So you need to answer that question
For yourself.
for yourself. How you feel?
How are you going to prepare for it?
Yes,
if
how you?
you're not
Yes,
there?
yes.
Yeah. And I got new glasses, y'all. Got new glasses. I don't know if y'all can tell. I'm trying to get used to them.
All
Okay.
right. So this is the end of this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it, especially those who are in the same phase or going through the phase that we just talked about.
I hate that word phase. It's a part of life.
Yeah, it's a part of life.
It's not a phase. It's the graduation of life.
Yes, and you don't want to be a part of statistics. I've never heard of the term
Gray divorce.
gray divorce.
I'd heard of it.
Gray divorce before, but I know it has to do with people over 50, and that the empty nest syndrome has a whole lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Because they forgot who they were, and they forgot who each other were.
Yeah.
And so it's like once the kids left, it's like, oh, they were in 2 totally different worlds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you don't want to be a part of statistics and have a great divorce. You want your marriage to prosper
at every stage.
Yeah, at every stage. At every stage.
At every stage, you want to prosper. You want to be able to minister to other people. and let them know that this is possible, because marriage just in general ain't easy. So, okay.
So if you enjoyed this episode, like, share, comment, okay? So or if you haven't already subscribe, and ask your friends, get your friends to subscribe, okay? If you know that they can get something out of these episodes, okay? Like Miriam and I, we really pour ourselves into these episodes every week because we want to be a blessing to you, okay? So until the next time,
y'all. Wait a minute, let me get my hand. Yeah. Until the next time, y'all.
Have a blessed and prosperous day.
No.